Hey everybody, I wanted to take you guys through a game that actually played this time in the King's Indian Defense from the ChessGoals repertoire. And there's a move that's not covered in the repertoire. It's not super common, but it's particularly annoying, and I've seen it a few times. And so after today's game, I wanted to go through it and figure it out. So after knight bd7, which is a slight move order concern, we can just play g4. And then he plays e5, and after d5 we transfers back. He does get knight c5 in, which forces us to play this knight f3. I mean, we could put the bishop here, or maybe even move the queen, but both of those are a bit awkward, because eventually we're going to want both our bishop and our queen defending this pawn so that we can continue on with our storm. So given that, we're going to choose f3. And then h5 is this interesting move. And the idea with h5 is that when we play our knight g3 idea, he just wants to play h4 and shut us down. And then there are some lines where he's going to play knight to h7, and then the queen comes in for an annoying check. And so I looked at like how to handle this, because it's a little bit obnoxious and changes the play a bit. I looked at b4. And because I recently did that video where I was like, if we can kick the knight, we should kick the knight. But it turns out that maybe that's not always 100% true. It seems like that after c6 has been played, it makes a lot more sense to kick the knight because the queen can come out. And the queen and the knight working together can be quite annoying. So we're maybe going to wait for c6 before we play b4. Some other moves that we could play, the queen can come, some different ideas, but I think that just the standard knight e2 with the idea of coming back to g3, just like our normal plan, is pretty simple. One of the moves we absolutely can't do is take the pawn. You maybe think, woohoo, we got an open g-file, but after just knight takes, this is awful. It's going to be really hard for us to advance this pawn. We don't really want to advance this one. He may yet play f5, and this is not what we're hoping for. So we play here. And after this, my opponent played b6, which we should always be happy to see, because it's not clear where that bishop's going to go. I mean, a6 is just not a good square. We're going to move this knight out of the way. This is defended. b7 is certainly not the way to go. Maybe he thinks he's defending his knight, but I wasn't going to take that anyway. We're almost never going to take that. I'm sure there's some situations, but I haven't seen it yet. Some much better would have been like c6, and my idea was to go queen d2, and then if he captures, he plays a5, securing the knight, and if he doesn't play a5, if he plays queen a5, we can definitely play rook b1, just like from before, and this knight is going to be leaving post-haste. I mean, he already had a big threat because this rook's not defended of this coming out. So instead of a5, I like this idea knight c1, and the point is that we're going to come out to d3, exchange this knight this way, and then castle queenside, and then try to open some things up. So something like bishop d7, knight d3, b6 now, trying to secure the knight because we are threatening to win a pawn now. We take anyway, and then just castles long. And after a4, we go a3. And we have lots of potential mobility with the pawns on the king side, so we can open things up and attack. But with this pawn froze here, and we have good defense of this guy, we can even bring this rook up and defend all the way across. He's got no pawn breaks. And so I think that we're going to be able to hold an initiative on this side, on the king side, but I think this is better for white. So going back, b6 is what was played, and we play b4 now. I wanted to kick the knight away because it seems like he has some awkward places to choose from, is my idea. But again, perhaps just a simple queen d2 might have been more what the position called for. It's clear that he's going to have somewhat slow queenside play because of b6. He would like to maybe play b5 all in one go. So after queen d2, we can just castle queenside. So maybe knight h7, he's going to go try to give us that check. No big deal. We castle. He plays h4 because now we really are thinking about closing things up. And then this idea of rook g1, which is quite interesting. And the idea is that we, at some point, maybe want to play g5 ourselves and make it really hard for this knight to come back. Or maybe we'll also want to come attack this pawn at some point. But if he plays g5 itself, to prevent us from that idea, he has closed up the king side entirely, and we can probably play similarly to the game and just switch gears and go to the queen side. We have definitely more space, and it's much, much easier for us to maneuver our pieces. I mean, even if we wanted to, we could slowly walk our king back over here. We have all the time in the world. I chose b4, and he chose knight a6. I went rook b1. This is a poor choice. Definitely a3 is the way to go. I was somehow worried about a5, and he would capture, and maybe the rook would be annoying, but a3 is just better. It gives us the option to castle queenside much at any point in the game, and quite nice. So rook to b1, knight bishop d7, and now I played knight to g3, which is an okay move. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. My idea is I actually wanted to bait him into playing h4, because I thought that once he does that, I'm just going to come right back, and then I'm going to go full force on the queen side, which is what happened. The computer actually shows this cool idea with bishop to g5, and I looked at trying to see if this idea worked in other positions, and it's really specific. We need to have this knight here, it needs to be hanging. The queen needs to not be able to come out. Our own queen needs to be able to defending this. There's just so many situations where it looks like this bishop g5 should work, but it doesn't, and it was really complicated. But here's one specific situation where it does, and there's some really cool lines where after something like e8, and we bring the knight up, he drops the knight back, and we play h4, takes, and I found this cool idea that if he advances, trying to kick our knight out and keep this open, we just have a really sweet sacrifice here. Captures, and this attack is going to be quite tough. Of course, he has some other choices. There was moves like this, and this is why our queen needed to be here. And after f6, this is where we learn why this knight needed to be hanging, because we get this idea. Kicking the knight out, and then we can kick here, and now we can go about our attack. Anyway, this stuff gets really complicated, but this bishop g5 idea is something to consider. Anyhow, I played knight to g3. He did play h4, and I went right back, and I had what I want, because now I am free to go play on the queen side all I want, and it's really difficult to see how he's ever going to create counterplay on this side of the board. He did go knight h7. I went queen to d2. And he played g5, which I think was awful, because now I'm like, woohoo, I can do absolutely anything, and there's never going to be a problem. So I just played king f2. He played f6. He's got the worst bishop in the world, and this knight isn't exactly great either. And what is this rook even doing? For a matter, what is this knight doing? Where's the bishop? I mean, none of his pieces are really doing anything, and it's tough to figure out where to move them. I played knight c1. I maybe want to play this move. I thought about coming to here. I thought about coming to here. I'm just trying to get my pieces sort of in order before I start taking action on the queen side. Played rook f7, now knight d3. Plays knight f8, trying to untangle. Bishop e2. Maybe I'm going to bring the rook across. Knight g6. And then I decided that maybe I wanted this bishop open in here, and I'm going to play across to here. So he played bishop to f8. And now just c5, and the knight needs to go backwards. He played king g7, which just hangs the knight, but if he plays knight to b8, this is a sad state of affairs. We just play c6, the bishop is shut in. I mean, this is a hilarious piece configuration. I have this long computer line where the computer maneuvers around for a really long time and eventually lands at this position, where it finds a way to break through. Everything's locked up, the pieces are completely tangled, and it's nice to see how the computer finishes it. It does a quick sacrifice, and to get a couple of connected pass pawns, bishop c7, we just drop back, and these guys are gonna cost black a piece. Choose queen f8. No problem, we just trade queens. We're just going to advance our pawns. King f8, g5, we're opening the rooks up. Plays rook g7, and now a nice move, bishop c4, just improving the quality of the bishop. Chooses f5, we come back, takes, and this is another nice move, d6, which we're getting rid of the blockade on the dark squares. Bishop takes, we take this way, the rook comes across, no big deal. We're going to go support our pawns, and it's quick. We quickly get into trouble. Drop back, bishop e6, and then we're just going to block the rook's access across, and we're going to advance the pawn. Plays king f7, we just advance, and this knight is completely lost now. He's really got nowhere to go. Anywhere he goes, we can just capture it. It comes out to here, we make a queen because you block your retreat. Come out to here, we just grab it. We're going to go make a queen. Come out to here, we can just grab it. We're going to go make a queen. So this is an easy way to, even if he did save the knight back here with knight b8, but after hanging king g7, we of course just swap it. Knight f4, I decided just to take it. This way there's no chance this pawn ever gets attacked. I can now swing the rook across. Takes, plays c6, and brought up the queen. Eventually my idea was something like queen here, rook over, bring a knight here, and I'm going to attack these pawns, which is more or less what happened. Chose rook to e7, I got rook e1. I don't know, it just seemed like a good place. It doesn't hurt anything. Maybe he was going to play f5 and then play rook to e3. I don't know, I can do anything. So rook e5. I brought the queen to c4. I want to bring this knight back to d3. Queen to e8. And I don't even need to take the rook. I found a cooler idea to start trying to break through. Played bishop to b7. And the point is that I want to put the queen here. I would love to open this line up and attack this pawn and then get a better attack on here. Played rook b8. Queen comes in, captures, and after something simple like the knight coming to b5, the rook's to the c file, it's all over. Played bishop f8. I decided to grab the rook before he could come across to defend. After he captures back, just queen a7, and here he resigns. Quite a nice game, and an interesting way of playing with this early h5 idea, which does complicate things, but we just need to play a little bit patiently and be prepared to both kick this knight out at the right time, and then this idea of just capturing or castling on the queen side and just slow playing it a bit differently over here. Don't rush to play g5, don't capture, you don't need to try to play h4 yourself, and also maybe be a bit patient on this knight g3 idea, and perhaps consider playing one of the other ideas with bishop, queen to d2, and castling alongside. Alright, thanks a lot guys, hope you enjoyed it. Take care later, bye-bye.